Hey everybody, happy Friday, how's it going? Let me know in the chat right up there if you can hear me okay. And once a few people show up, I will get going. Let me just check my audio levels here. I know I don't have my good mic out, but cool. So yeah, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to, I just created the story in Clubhouse here, test the sign up and onboarding for my app, for Transistor up there. Hey, Curbside Audio, how's it going? Can I say hello to you here somehow? Can't reply to you, can I? Howdy. So this is something I think everyone should be doing on a regular basis, right? You should be testing what it's like to sign up for your own application and seeing what users see. This could potentially be really messy, but yeah, I just wanted to take a look at the whole process, signing up with a credit card for a trial, and yeah, seeing what that might be like. All right, so let's do that. Gonna move that over there, and move that over there. How's it going? Hey Arvind. Howdy. By the way, if the video quality isn't great on Twitter or Periscope, you can go to twitch.tv/megajustin, and you might find that it's a little bit better there. That's where Simon Bennett is. Howdy. So, yeah, and it's also on YouTube if you want to go there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a window, and I'm going to try to put myself in the place of a typical user. So I'm going to Google best podcast hosting platform, and I'm just going to look at the first result. There's a blog post, and here's 5 options, and there's Transistor there. So I'll click there. Hi Miguel, how's it going? Good to see ya. Happy Friday. Okay, so I'm scrolling through. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. It's kind of messed up if you're not at a full width. That might be something I want to fix. I want to view the pricing. Yeah, so that's a good point. Simon Bennett says you should open Tor or something other than Googling, as Google does personal results, so you can compare higher. So one thing is I'm not signed in right now. At least I don't think I am. Yeah, I'm not signed in. The other thing you can do is you can add these search operators. So set personalization to 0 and set your location to the US. So I could add that. Oh, sorry. Does that still work? Wait a second. How come that doesn't work? Maybe I gotta google.com PWS. Is that how I did this? PWS. Or maybe I have to search first. Let's do this. So best podcast hosting platform. And then Yeah, I think I can add them right here. Or, no, yeah, you're right, to the end. Yeah. Holy Dinah, there's a lot of stuff here. Does that do it? I think that does it. So now I shouldn't see any personalization, and I should just see US results. I think, if I did that right. Yeah, or I could use a VPN. There's a bunch of things I could do. Best podcast hosting platform. There we go. Yeah, so now personalization set to 0, location set to the United States, and I'm seeing these right here. Cool. So now I'm here on the pricing page, and I'm going to start a 14-day trial. Going to choose the starter plan, and I'm going to go Justin Tester, words at megamaker.co. Type in a password. I don't think we show that. Yeah, and I'll do my card number offline, but I'm going to definitely put in a real credit card. Well, that's a good question. Did that page show that there's a 14-day trial? I believe so, but that is a great question. Start a 14-day trial. Yeah. It says it right here, but does this form say trial? That's true. This does not say, I should mention that. That's note number 1. That is a really good point. So, no, this is great. Simon and Nick, thanks for mentioning that. Nick. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. Okay, so I'm going to take out my... I'm in Canada, and I have a special US dollar visa that I use for all my SaaS expenses. And then I wish I could show you this on screen, because it would probably, getting the full picture is helpful, but yeah, there's privacy stuff. All right, so it says, welcome to Transistor. Continue adding your first show. All right, so again, man, you can see why it's helpful for people to what's this about? Clues of 14 diary trial. Oh yeah, that'd be a good way to do it. You're right. Just have a look. Oh yeah, sorry, it does say that. I thought you were mocking it up, but yeah. So I guess we had it there, but maybe it's not as clear. Like maybe it should be start your 14-day trial. Like maybe we should do it here, right? Maybe I should have it start your 14-day free trial today. That might be even more clear, right? So, yeah, I think that's a fair critique. So I'm going to I can access the sign up page right now because I opened it up before I signed up. I don't know if it redirects. That's a good point. Maybe it should redirect at this point. Good point. Good point, Miguel. All right, so I'm just going to create a show. And we're going to call this one live streaming with Justin. Going to give it a show where Justin live streams UX stuff. And choose some cover art. I don't know what I'm going to choose for this. I don't really have anything right now. Maybe I'll just take a photo or something. Let's see here. Switch to this. Okay, and just okay. All right, just took a photo. Let's go back now. This might not work. It might be too, the dimensions might be all wrong. Although that'd be interesting if it warned me. Cover art is required. I should have almost tried it without, shouldn't I? That is a good point. Cover art is required because all of the podcast apps require it. So what are you saying? Are you saying I should have something generic? Yeah, like just, you mean something like almost like the Facebook, oh, I can't show you that. Let's see if I can do it here. Almost like these status updates. Where is that? Justin's podcast. How do you do that with these? Almost like this, right? Like just have a thing that allows you to choose some backgrounds, and then Justin's live streaming podcast. That might be kind of cool. Yeah, some of this overlaps just because at this resolution, it's just not quite right. I don't think I can I make the chat any smaller? I can't really. But, so, it's a fair point, Miguel, but part of this is just I'm creating room in my window. Yeah, true. Actually, and now that I think about it, I think you can create a show without a cover right away. Like, I think I could save this. Let's see what happens when I create my show. Yeah, see, I can save it without adding a cover, but now I'm thinking, because it is required, and actually now I'm also thinking, I just saved those settings, but then do people know that that thing that we just went through is in show settings here? Maybe I need to highlight that somehow after, in that confirmation screen. Like if I create a new show, and I go show 2, and I go, this is going to be a good one. And then, see, show 2 has been added successfully, but do people know that those settings are in show settings? Okay, so Jack thinks it's obvious. Jack also thinks we shouldn't waste time with artwork. Yeah, I have to think about that. I have thought about creating like microsites that just do that thing. So, and you can also use it as marketing. So like podcast cover creator. I don't know if something like that exists. Like Canva has it, right? They allow you to design these things, but maybe I could create something really lightweight that's just a website that does that. And I also need to think about what to do with cover art, because if you don't have cover art, that's not going to work with Transistor. Okay, so let's go home. So now I've got 2 shows. Neither of them have covers. If I add a cover, let's go back here. And if I save this, the other thing that I have to figure out is there's a bunch of checklist items you have to do in order to submit a show to iTunes. Like you need cover art, but you also need to choose your category. You also need to identify the show owner. And I think we've got pretty good tooltips for these. Like they're not saying, you know, this isn't displayed anywhere. It's just for admin contact information. And then how author is different, like who is this podcast by? So, you know, in this case, it would be transistor.fm. And then performing arts and food is where we'll put these. We just hid all of these advanced settings, and I think actually in this like accordion, and now that I think about it, I think this is a good idea, because all of this complexity, most of which people will not care about, now that's just hidden. People only need that. So we don't publish the RSS feed until you've uploaded an episode. And maybe I should go through that whole process right now, right? So now we'll go back to episodes. Done recording, add your first episode to Transistor so you can get your show published in iTunes and elsewhere. Maybe actually, Jacob, this would be a good spot to add that. The other thing is, I wonder, are these chat widgets intuitive enough for people to know? Like that might be a great question that someone would ask, right? Does Transistor publish the RSS feed immediately? Okay, and then Transistor typically replies in 20 minutes. Oh, see, I didn't realize that our customers were seeing this. Don't worry about missing our reply. If you're not here, we'll send it to you there. Okay, I didn't realize folks were seeing all of this. That's super helpful to know. So, and on my side, of course, I see, I could show you the interface that I see. This is the question right there. So then I would say, if I was answering that customer support request, I would do that. And I would probably also send them to something we've got here, like maybe one of these. So here's a good guide. Let's see how that looks. Send as pending. Oh, and it makes a little noise. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Oh, I don't like that. It shows that little notification there. We don't publish the RSS feed until you've uploaded an episode. And what does it look like if I go, here's another thing. And can you folks hear the noise? System audio. I'm gonna bring up system audio so you can hear that. Here's another thing to think about. You can record a teaser episode. Okay, so I'm gonna send this. Okay, so it just shows a little note, and then you click through on it, and then you see that. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've liked Kayako as well. It has been really nice. But interesting to see from a user's perspective how they see these things. I also noticed the attachment icon. I'm referring folks to that, and now I can see the placement a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, it's true. Jacob's saying if you have an episode but no art, Apple might reject it, but other platforms might not. That's true, but most need it. All right. Let's record an episode quick. So lately I've been recording in ScreenFlow. We'll see if this might grind everything to a halt. I'm just going to record from here. And here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to live streaming with Justin. Today I'm going to sign up for my own software as a service application, my own credit card, test the onboarding flow, test the user experience as much as I can from a user's point of view. If you want to sign up, if you want to get all the new episodes, make sure you subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your show. All right. So that's my episode there. And obviously I might edit it a little bit, right? Let me just put this down for a sec so I can see things. Smooth out the audio, remove some background noise. This is the part where most people get stuck. Hey everybody, welcome to live experience as much as I can from a user's point of view. And, if you want to get all the new episodes, make sure you subscribe. Okay, so I'm just gonna have this, right? If you want to get all the new episodes, make sure you subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your show. Okay, so yeah, that's the episode. By the way, a lot of people ask me where you can get good music for a show, and I just published something about this. Although, you know what's interesting about this is how would people know this at this point? Right? Like, how are they going to know about all these other resources I have? I got to think about that. I wonder. I'm assuming we're still sending some sort of onboarding email sequence, but I'm going to have to check my email and see if we're actually doing that. JosephMcDade.com has some really good free music. So, yeah, like this is good. So I'm just going to download that and show you how I would put that in there for podcast. So we're going to have this, And then we're going to fade it down, right? Add an action. We'll bring it way down, like it can be really quiet. So it's going to sound like this. Hey everybody, welcome to live streaming with Justin. Today and then I'll bring it back up over here, right? Bring it back up to 100. And then I guess I'll fade it up. I'll fade it out at the end. Okay, so I'm going to export this. Here's something else people might not realize is that you can export it as an AAC file now. Justin teaser. Doesn't have to be MP3. ScreenFlow doesn't have MP3s, but won't export as MP3s, but they'll export AACs. Okay, I'm going to close this. I'm going to bring you folks back in the chat. Haven't seen what you're saying. Yeah, yes. I am going to get total strangers to do this as well. Actually, I think I have had some people do that. Anyway, so let's add our first episode. We're going to say first episode, and there's lots in this page that I know is confusing. One thing I'm even thinking of right now is like having to choose the publishing date right here is almost too early. I almost don't want that yet, because my mental model is I want the title, but then I want the audio file. I don't want to choose publishing date. That slows me down. I just want to do this, right? I want to upload the audio file. Publishing date should almost be down here. Yeah, and then maybe populate it, because this is the confusing part, is right now you can't publish an episode without doing this. It's like a bit of old UI that we've had from the beginning. We got this out quickly for Cards Against Humanity when they launched their show, but yeah, it's not a good experience. I also need to add a tooltip for this, because episode summary, like people are going to wonder what is this? And I've written a help doc on it. Well, where is it? Actually, that's a good point. If I was going to get help, where would I click this? Would I know that? Can you get to help through here? Not really. Yeah, that's a good point too. Author is pre-filled, but maybe that's not clear enough. Summary. So I need to be able to communicate that episode summary ends up here in Apple Podcasts, and then your show notes ends up here. One idea we've had for this is to almost show a preview as you're creating these things of what it would look like inside of Apple Podcasts, right? So you can actually see, like, oh, when I fill out episode summary, that fills out this area here. Otherwise, it is kind of weird. Like, people are like, what? Well, what is this? I don't get it, you know? But I should, at the very least, I should add a tooltip here. That's like an easy win. Because it has to be pretty short for this spot here. So, yeah, I'll just put brief intro to Justin's. Justin signs up for his own app. It's going to be a trailer. Full episode should have an episode number. Trailer and bonus episodes can have an empty number but can also have the same number as another episode. Oh. Okay, so let's see what happens when I delete that. And then this part here actually, oh, this is a great question, Matt. I want to come back to this. Oh, did I just block you? Shit. How do I unblock you? Crap. What did I just do? Ah! I'm so sorry. No. How do I unblock you? Oh no. Great question. Yes. Yeah, I totally think you're right, Miguel. The fact that you don't know there's a full notes section coming up. I agree. And also, like, people might wonder, like, what do you put here? Because I have a template I use. Like, let me show you the way I do it. Every episode, I'm creating a new Build Your SaaS episode. I go into the old one, click Edit, grab all of the format from the last episode, and then paste that into the new episode. But that could be helpful for people to see that somehow, or having some sort of mental model for how that might work, right? Yeah. Now, pre-filling templates can be tricky. I do like how ConvertKit does it. They've got, like if you go to sequences and you create a new one, new sequence, just test. They have this pre-filled. Oh, that's interesting. They used to actually have day 1, day 2, day 3. Now it's like they just have this section here. But putting something in there the first time might be interesting or helpful. What happens if I try to create this without a publish date? Okay, so it's going to make me do that. Yeah, I mean, I could have it as a text expander snippet. Jacob, it might be helpful for the first time. It might be helpful for folks to see something the first time. But yeah, this is definitely a pain in the ass because I've got to choose a time for this to publish, and there's no publish now. We have a story for this somewhere. Let me look at it. Here, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Publish now, I think, or it might still be in Pivotal somewhere. Create. Yeah, I think that's a story I should add that we had in Pivotal, but essentially, I should show it to you because how do I get to Pivotal Tracker from here? Pivotal Tracker. Sorry, I realize this is super boring. Okay, so what did I have? Oh, yeah. This is the story that I need to move over. I thought we had screenshots for this somewhere. Anyway. I'll move that over later. So I'm going to choose, I want to publish it right now, so I can actually choose a time in the past for this to work. Create episode. Episode has been added successfully. One thing we're also trying to figure out is if at that point people want to, because this is kind of that aha moment, right? Almost. At this point, people can see it. Like if they click on this, they can see what the landing page would look like and they can play it. Hey everybody, welcome to live streaming with Justin. Today I'm going, and in some ways we almost need to highlight this more, like we almost need to be, because this is their first episode. This is a big deal. Like now they've done it, right? So we could be like, congratulations. You know, you publish your first thing or something. Yeah, and this is processing it. This is something else we got to work on, is that the audio is actually technically processed at this point. We're converting this from M4A to an MP3, but the fact that it's already to sign up for my previewing means the processing is done, and lots of folks get confused by this. Because if I go to the episodes dashboard, it's all done. It's processed. It's finished. So that's a good question. That's a good point, Jacob. Good point. Good point. Oh, really? Twitch blocked your comments? Do I have some sort of bot running on there that blocked you? Where? What's going on here? How'd you get blocked on there? Weird. So, good point. I'm recording all of this, folks. This is really helpful. I think the other thing that's weird is that you get here and you can view the episode. This is still processing, which is kind of, it shouldn't be. It should finish. It doesn't finish right now. You can also replace the audio file, and I can basically keep clicking save forever here, right? I don't really tell folks what to do next if this is their first time, because at this point I can go, oh, see, and this is what that processing audio thing looks like. So, yeah, that'd be cool, Miguel. So the other thing is to get kind of the point where you can submit to iTunes. Like once you have your show here, now I can get this to submit to iTunes at this point. But do folks know that they have to go back to Overview, click RSS feed, copy this, submit to Apple Podcasts, so then I could like go through the description. That's also a really good question, Jack. It's making me think. Like, yeah, why do we need to let them know that it's been? I guess the only reason they would need to know is if you're right. They almost don't need to know when they're editing. Like processing, I don't know if it's important, although we show the audio file. But you're right. It's not as important on this screen, but it is important on the episode screen to know it's still processing, which is why it maybe hasn't published yet. But I'm realizing once they add that first episode, we need a way of telling them the next steps. Even if it's just in that little dialogue you saw. Like we could put it right here. Have like a congrats, here are your next steps. Something like that here, just for the first episode. Or maybe a modal would be better. Because, yeah, they need to know what to do next. At this point, they also don't know that they can create a website. That's a whole other separate thing. But going back to where was that? Where are we trying to get them to? What's the aha moment for a first user? I think there's kind of two things in my head. One is just seeing your show published somewhere and being able to share it with somebody. Like at this point, I might open up, my messages and say, hey, check this out. Send it to someone, Like if this was my DMs, I'd be like, hey, just published my first podcast. Or I might share it on Twitter or something, right? So that's where, this is one place, this is kind of like the first easy win. But after that, they're going to want to know how to submit their show to iTunes, Spotify, etc. I don't tell them any of that stuff at this point. We need to be able to communicate that's where you got to go next. If they go to analytics, they can see nothing really yet. These are kind of not great blank slates either. We should put something here. Web player is 100%. First episode. All my listens are here. Yeah, maybe. Well, Matt, that's a good question. Is this really their first podcast episode? The use case I'm going through is first time podcaster. The flow, if you're importing a podcast, is so different. So we recommend that folks submit to iTunes themselves, because if they don't, they lose the control over their show. But yeah, clearly, like team, we don't really, like this is where you would add all your podcast listening apps. But this this only applies to the website. There's some disconnection between these things that we need to clean up. And this website builder is still really basic. I'll show you what it looks like, but I could see, some people might be wondering, why do I need a website? Like, what's the difference between a website and a landing page? What's a subdomain? Recommended episode. Yeah, there's a few things that, and we also don't have a preview button for the website. So I've just created my website, but there's no, we almost need to add a dialogue here. Yeah, Miguel, we have thought about integrating with Card and other folks. Basically, I think no matter what, we're going to have our own basic website option that we provide people. Something that a lot of people want. They want it all to be integrated, and yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to get away with it. But we have talked to them about, I am in contact with AJ about integrating with Card. So yes, we need a preview dialogue here to say your website's live. You can preview it here. Obviously, there's lots to be desired here. Yeah. We need to figure out this stuff here. We need to figure out how to make this just more simple, I think. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Put some of this stuff, like website logo, like, well, definitely this stuff could be put in one of those advanced feature, what did we call that? Not scaffolding, but totally true, Jacob Tender. Totally true. And the other thing I have a story for is I have like my own CSS I keep adding to all these sites for users that just makes it like it centers this. It creates kind of some better defaults for some of these things. But the except I don't actually want. This is all I want here. Do you know that you can pre-fill the RSS feed for iTunes submission, no copy pasting? You mean you mean when linking to Podcast Connect? Tell me more. I think, I can't remember how do I have it here? Go to Apple Podcast Connect. You got to sign in. But people have to sign in no matter what, right? Let me just do that off screen here. Yeah, so how does that work? Is it really that much better because folks have to sign in anyway, right? Like this is me signed in, but how do I? And we definitely need to clean this up because essentially what you do is you grab your iTunes podcast URL. So let's say I grabbed this, copy link. If I put this, once I have this link and I click save, you'll see it on the website. When you go to subscribe, it adds, when you add podcast listening apps in here, it also it adds them to that page. So if I just put overcast.fm here and click save, and I refresh, it adds it here. But the user wouldn't know that. So yeah, that's definitely a spot I need to figure out. This is where things start to break down. And if I put my Twitter handle in here, and I save, and I refresh, you can see it right here. And then the other thing is if I connect to like MailChimp or ConvertKit, so let's try to do this live. So if I connect Transistor to my MailChimp account, this allows me to choose a mailing list, right? So I could say, I want it to be this one here. And now, if I refresh the website, it adds a join our newsletter page. So much of these two tabs have to do with the website. It might also eventually affect these landing pages. So now if you go to this landing page, you'll see that it adds the Apple Podcast link and it adds my Twitter. So we're using some of that information other places, but it's not exactly clear where all that information is being used. Let's see what Jack's got here. How come it's not opening in here? I just want to show people in here. So create show, add first episode and save it. Show a new page that has 2 buttons. I'm ready to submit my show to iTunes or add another episode. If they're ready to submit, you can break down each platform. iTunes do this and this, Spotify do this and this. You can have a checklist. Oh, that'd be an interesting way of doing it. Like if they're creating a new episode for the first time. Yeah, that's a good point. Because your iTunes submission is kind of like it's the gate, it's the thing that unlocks everything else. So once you get your iTunes URL, then you get an Overcast URL, then you get, because they all scrape from the iTunes directory. The exceptions are Google Play, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. They all do it differently. But this is where there's a lot of friction right here. And it's almost like, yeah, it's almost like we need to, these things are related, and so they need to be together. Social, integrations, and website, those are all related, except for there's auto-tweeting YouTube, and then submitting to Spotify is a separate. These need to be moved around, I think. It's not intuitive to have them all here. Yeah, no, Jack, I think that's a good point. I don't think you can't connect to 2 email services. Just one. Eventually, people will be able to subscribe through the embedded player. Like there'll be a subscribe option in here when they embed it somewhere. So that it makes sense to have this integrations, to have this integration be not just connected to the website. Yeah, it's just that, Jacob, some of these things I think need to be clarified. Because essentially everything on this page has to do with the website. Like this, adding this stuff here doesn't, it's only going to show on the website. That's it. So yeah, I think we got to think through this. Yeah, man, it feels like there's lots of work to do. Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to have a submission page almost. And the hard part is going to be people's mental model for that. Like, is that, should we have a tab called promote? Or, a page that just does this once? Like, we could have a page called promote where all we do is we have kind of a nice version of this page here. Submit your show to all the podcast directories. But instead of this being in a help doc, this is its own it's actually in the app, right? Maybe here or something. Thanks, Jack. For all its problems, people do like it. And people say it is more intuitive than other things they've used. But obviously, we still have a long way to go. But I think, how do I need to get this out of here. There we go. I think that having something like, promote or submit, and then we just have as easy as we can in the app, a way to do that makes sense in the flow of creating a show. That would, yeah, this makes sense. Now, you won't do this if you're creating a private podcast, but most of our users are creating it for submission to these places. So I just got to figure out what's the best way to do that. All right. Well, this has been helpful. Thanks for showing up. Anyone else have anything before I go that they think I should be thinking about? Would be great if there was a way to verify show on all those platforms to reduce the list. Yeah. Yeah. Could we show a checklist of, I don't even, that might be possible already to use the, because look what happens if I add a new show and I want to do it from, oh wait, gotta refresh here. If I add a new show, I can import it from iTunes, right? So we're already hooked up via the iTunes API to be able to go, like, if I go Mega Maker, it's going to find that show. I mean, technically, I could import almost any show. I could import Full Stack Radio, right? There's an API for all that stuff. And so I wonder if we could just scan iTunes for the RSS feed. It is clear that there's kind of two phases, right? At first, you just want to get some sort of audio up. You want to upload your first episode ever, or you want to import your show. And so getting people to that point of just like, get my audio on Transistor, that's good. And then there's like this other section, which is, okay, get it onto iTunes and Spotify. And then there's this other kind of section, this other mindset of, I want to build a website for this podcast. But those are kind of three distinct categories. And so helping people kind of explore those would be helpful. Yeah, once you have the iTunes, that's something we could add right away, is once you have this iTunes link, you can auto-generate a lot of these other ones. Oh, that's a good point, Miguel. That's a good idea. I mean, some folks might not want a website, so... Well, I guess we're already showing it in the menu, so... Good point. So always show that website link, even if they haven't created one. If they haven't created one, instead of it going to the website, it goes, you click this, and it goes here, and helps you create a website. That might be a quick, easy win. All right, well, I've been going about an hour. This has been really helpful. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. And actually, for me to go through this process and have you ask questions live, so helpful. Because now I can see it from your perspective, too. And it's like bringing out all these things where we really need to improve the onboarding. And I mean, I know kind of intuitively where people are getting stuck, but yeah, this is great. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you later.